Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Michelle here. Quick introduction. We're going to get right into this video. In this video we are making sloper front, sloper back, and sloper sleeves. Right now you see me marking for the front. I'm marking at the bust line, center front line, and I did mark the waistline, but let's begin draping. So you want to take that marked line. Usually you'll use a pencil, but because of this showing up for the camera, I am using a marker. So you want to start at the neckline, place the bust line on the bust line. That 1/2 inch mark, you want to place that on the center seam, the center front line. And I'm going to anchor with a pin to begin with. And I'm going to anchor the bottom with another pin. And you don't want to pull too tight. Go in and out. You can stab through it as well, but I'm going to go in and out with it. And now we put a little mark at the side seam just so we can cut a fabric just a little bit beyond that side seam. So when you're draping across the body, across the bust, this is a woven fabric, meaning you don't want it to make it you don't want it to be a tight fit. So that means you're going to kind of pinch slightly just to bring it out a little bit, so that you will have what we call wearing ease. And generally wearing ease should be about another inch around the body, and the higher you go up on the body, the more wearing ease you most likely need, especially if the fabric does not have stretch. So if you go past a size 12, size 14, you may need 1.5 inches of wearing ease. Okay, so we marked at our cross line, our bust line, and if you notice there's extra fabric here. So this is where we begin manipulating our fabric and draping our fabric to create this is called dart manipulation, the process of taking out the excess fabric. See these wedges, how I'm folding here. I can put a dart here. I can change this, and this is called a French dart. If you change your dart to this line. For this lesson, we're going to do a waist dart, and you can do an entire waist dart for this lesson as well. But for this lesson, I want to do a side dart and a waist dart. So let's begin by clipping this fabric. So remember, we're going from 2D to 3D. So we're going to make some clips here just to kind of get rid of some excess fabric so that we can mold it around the body. And if you clip too much, like I did here, you can just tape that part up. It happens. So we're going to smooth this out. And again, you can create a shoulder dart, and you can create a waist dart, and this can actually turn into a princess seam, what we call a princess seam. So if you notice, as I'm pinning out, the darts are pointing towards the highest point, which is the bust point. So that mound here is the bust point, and which we also call the apex. And I'm gonna just put a tiny little dot just to recognize that. And now we are cutting through the waist dart, and we're gonna cut and make our way up to the bust point. You're gonna go up to the bust point, but not through it. And then you will overlap as much excess as you can. And if you notice, the waist line seam will change a little bit, and that's why you don't really need that waistline seam there, that waistline balance line. And you're going to tape out the excess, and it's almost like sculpting or molding a ceramic dish or some type of ceramic. I'm clipping at the waist to release some tension. Side dart, clipping up to the apex but not through it. Overlapping, smoothing out as much as I can, overlapping. And I'm going to pin here before taping down, just to make sure everything is in its rightful place. Trimming away some of the excess around the neckline and trimming around the neckline. We're not going to put seam allowance at the neckline, so we're just cutting at the neckline. And we're cutting around the armhole, opening up that armhole. And right here I cut a little too deep on the armhole, so I'm going to take a little piece of muslin and take that muslin to build it back up, and then I'll cut again, but not as deep. And if you noticed, I left some seam allowance extending beyond the armhole as well, because we will be adding a sleeve. And I'm trimming away, just getting rid of some of the excess fabric, and trimming and clipping and marking at the waistline. So now I'm adding a new waistline position. I'm now sketching in where I want my darts to be. And remember, your darts can go anywhere around the perimeter of the bodice, around the outer edge, radiating towards the bust point. For this particular bodice, I am doing a side dart and a waist dart. You can do a shoulder dart, a armhole dart, a bust dart, any line radiating outwards around the perimeter towards the bust point. Now let's work on our back. So we're repeating this process, the process of anchoring. So in this case, we're anchoring at the neckline, back neckline, and at the back waist. We're taking our fabric and creating almost a cone-like shape after we anchor a little bit more, just so it won't pull. Now we're creating this cone-like shape, making sure our balance lines are truly parallel to the floor, while pinching and leaving a little bit of excess fabric. Again, we call that excess fabric wearing ease. You want to be able to move your arms back and forth and around. So if you notice, I pinched a little bit of extra fabric at the shoulder blade level. Now we're doing our clipping at the waist, releasing tension. Now we're creating our back dart. And I'm molding in the back dart. There is excess fabric there, so if you see, I'm moving it a little bit just to make sure there is no bubble as I'm taping out that extra fabric. I don't want any bubbles. I want it to be nice and smooth. And now we are anchoring our side seams, we're cutting it away, and then we're going to open up the armhole a little more while leaving excess beyond that shoulder ridge so that we can have extra allowance for our sleeve drape. We are now working on our shoulder dart. So our shoulder dart is a very, very small dart. It is necessary in pattern making. That shoulder dart can be converted to wearing ease. It can be moved to the armhole. It can be moved to the waist dart. It can move around. The shoulder blades act as a apex point. So if you notice, the dart is pointing towards that mound of the shoulder blade. Now we're sketching in our armhole. And that could change a little bit, but for now we're sketching it in. We're doing our sketching in of our side seam. And we'll cut away some of that excess fabric while leaving seam allowance again. And if you notice it's not perfect, because we're going to go in later on to even it out. And another word for evening everything out is to true up. So we'll go in a little bit later and true up all of those lines. And truing up means essentially we're going to clean up those lines. We're cutting, doing notches at our neckline back just to release some of the tension again at the neckline. And we're folding our side seam. And as we do this, you want to pin not through the dress form. If you notice, my hand is underneath. So I want to pull that muslin away from the dress form and pin through as if someone was actually wearing this bodice. And we're pinning, so you can see how I'm pinching and you can see the looseness. Again, you don't want this tight fitting. You want to be able, if you're making it for yourself, this should be almost like a dress, a woven dress, where you'll be able to maneuver and move around, sit, bend, move your arms, and you should be able to do that very comfortably. If you see it, you can see me putting my hands just to make sure there is enough wearing ease in that armhole. And now we're cutting away more and trimming away a little bit more of the armhole, and we're almost there with our bodice front and bodice back. Yeah, so this is it for the bodice front and bodice back. Now we're going to make our way and over to the sleeve. So with the sleeve, I can give the dimensions and measurements for draping of the sleeves a little bit later on. Sleeves are a little bit challenging, not so much to drape, but to sew. So if anybody want, I can give a full video just on a sleeve drape, patterning, draping, and sewing. Just comment and let me know if you want to see a demonstration of that. Right now, I'm going to do a real quick drape and demonstration of the sleeve without getting into all the intricacies of draping a sleeve. If you see here, I have my balance lines at my elbow, bust line, and underarm. And I did some markings. I fast forwarded and I'm not doing the measurements here. I'm just showing you how to pretty much drape a sleeve on a mannequin. And I'm cutting it out. And actually, because I don't have a sleeve arm for my half scale mannequin, I just kind of guessed the proportions and everything. But again, if you want to see more of that, let me know and I can provide that for you. So there's tape there. At first I was going to overlap and tape, but it wasn't working out for me. So now I'm just pinning out some seam allowance just to make a funnel for the sleeve. And that's essentially what you have based on measurements. You basically have like a funnel with almost like an armhole cut out. Now I'm matching my bust line with my underarm, and my sleeve cap. So I'm folding over at the sleeve cap, pinning it in place, grabbing inside onto the actual underarm. If you remember the very first video, we did like a measurement of the sleeve depth. If you see now the sleeve cap and the line under it, that is that measurement of the arm depth. So that's one measurement that is very important. And again, we can talk more about a sleeve in a later video. Now I'm just kind of pinning around. You'll probably see some excess fabric at the sleeve cap, and that is necessary to make a perfect sleeve. You don't want it to, the sleeve doesn't go in exact. There should be about 3/4 of an inch, or maybe an inch. Inch might be too much, but at least 3/4 of an inch extra along the sleeve cap. And you do gather that in just to create roundness at the sleeve. Again, sleeves are, I see people struggle with sleeves, so I think I'm able to do a video on that. And we are almost done. So here we go. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned to the next video where we will be doing the sloper skirt front and back. Bye bye.